All right, you guys ready? Let's do this.
Yes.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Local Lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. My name is Louie Campbell, and you?
Dwayne Volkman.
And yourself?
Jennifer Rodriguez.
All right, so we're going to do a recap of the January 8th City Council meeting. And I'm just bringing out my phone because I have a copy of the agenda so we can kind of go point by point on this. The meeting was an interesting one. And we had, I think, maybe a record crowd at this meeting. It was really good. I really like seeing more and more of the public showing up. Those who support us, those who do not support us. I think it's just really good that you show up. Showing some civic participation is pretty awesome. You've been on the city council now for how long?
Since 2017.
2017, so it's been, almost your full 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be running again for re-election, but in the time you've been on the council, what's the normal kind of public participation that you see people showing up?
Well, prior to these latest issues that we've been dealing with the sewer overflows, the EPA involvement in our community regarding the sewer plant, water plants, was usually nobody.
Usually nobody. So from nobody to a nearly packed room.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Needing chairs.
We do need to get some more chairs in that room. Yeah.
They may want to look into being prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was really impressed with the turnout. So at the last meeting, of course, we start every meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, roll call, and a prayer. And they recognize visitors. So the mayor asked if anybody wants to address the City Council of Lawrenceville. And I remember a couple months ago, to be fully forthright, we have organized a number of people that want to speak and address the council. Mm-hmm. And when the hands went up, the mayor saw a sea of hands, and his expression was, he was like, "Whoa!"
What?
Yeah, and to see that kind of participation is pretty awesome, and it's continued like that month after month. We have 8 to 10 to 12 people that want to address the council every month now, which is really nice. So, started the meeting with approving the minutes. You had a question about the minutes from last month. Do you remember what that was?
It had to do with, I don't think I brought that with me today. There it is.
It was your question to Mr. Tipsword.
Right.
Yeah.
The minutes read, this would have been from the December meeting, the December council meeting. Volkman asked Tipsword if requests for more employees to fully staff his department were made. Tipsword acknowledged that he made those requests. And I wanted that to be corrected to what I was actually asking and what I did ask, which was, has he asked for more staff prior to these latest issues? Because his answer, Mr. Tipsword's answer was, yes, he has asked, but that request had been in the last couple of weeks.
Right.
And when I pressed him on, has he asked for help in the past? A, has he asked for it? And B, if he has asked for it, has he been denied? He didn't want to get into that discussion. He actually said if I wanted to talk more about that, he wanted to go into an executive session, which he doesn't get to call those. Council does.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously he did not want to answer that question. And the reason is, to my recollection, he's never asked.
Well,
but yet now we're being told
we find out that I'm not sure if it's that he asked, but conversations have occurred in meetings, in publicly available committee meetings and other public meetings. But those discussions, actually, the very first instance of that was August 13th, the day that the EPA issued their first notice of violations on the city. The city didn't receive it until 2 days later, according to what the mayor had said in a meeting. But it's interesting that the request for more staff didn't begin until the city was under heavy scrutiny by the EPA for not getting things done.
Yeah, and he's been in that position since, 2018?
2018, August of 2018.
2018, yeah. And hasn't asked for additional staff. as far as I'm aware, until August after the EPA got involved.
During the discussion of the bills of the city to approve the bills of the city for the water sewer department and all that, you had some questions about some inconsistencies between a couple of reports. One was a payroll report and one was the annual budget report showing there's line items there for payroll, including overtime and double time, and those numbers didn't match up.
Right. There we get a report of the previous month's overtime and double time numbers for employees in the form of hours, and then you'd have to do the calculation to see what the actual pay was, because there is a section on that same single sheet of paper that shows their wages. Then there is a budget report, a separate report that is several pages long for each department that shows what was budgeted for the current fiscal year and how much of that budget has been spent up to date, both in dollar amount and percentage.
So it's budgeted versus actual.
Right.
Okay.
And the discussion with the clerk initially was, he was talking about the section of that report that was the projected budget, that they hadn't, in the projected budget, they hadn't budgeted double time or overtime at all. However, they do have wages, okay? And obviously all of those numbers are wages, whether it's regular time, double, or time and a half. But on the actual, on that report, the second half of that report, again, is actual, what's been spent up to that date. None of the current numbers for time and a half and double time are listed on that report.
Yeah, it showed zero, if I recall.
Yeah, it showed zero as being spent, and that's not accurate. I'm just asking, when I get information in our packets, it needs to be accurate.
Yeah, we're not suggesting that anything nefarious is going on. They're trying to hide anything.
No, I'm not suggesting at all.
And I believe Rodney even suggested that there may be an IT issue with maybe his spreadsheets not linking up properly. I remember him saying he's going to have someone IT look at why that information wasn't included.
Right, because on some departments it lists that double time and overtime, and it shows that since none was budgeted, then the end result is it's a negative number. It's in the red. But on most of the departments, it's not listed at all. So maybe what I suspect has happened is those expenses for time and a half and double time are in the regular wage number. So either why do we have a double and time and a half section if we're not going to use it, or if we're going to use it, let's use it accurately. It's just the reports aren't accurate, and it's just another example of how things don't get questioned. If they don't get questioned, they don't get corrected.
Right.
But I do want to go back to the topic, to the previous topic about the number of staff Mr. Tipson has. You've done some investigation on that. You want to share that?
Oh yeah.
Compare it to the previous administration.
Yeah, and you may have watched the previous episode of the podcast where we had the Durants on, and we discussed that. What I discovered was that the previous operator had similar or less staff. This is according to information that I have from that operator and also through FOIA requests. He had less staff, but an interesting thing was two really important contrasts. He got all of his lab work done. According to EPA reports, it doesn't appear that our lab was even operational under Mr. Tipsword. And he was also required to make sure his water department went out and manually read all the water meters. We don't see meter readers going out and doing this now.
No.
As a matter of fact, our chief of police used to be a city employee before he was on the police department. He used to read meters in the town. So it was done manually, and so that's a labor-intensive job, and they don't do that anymore. They use telemetry equipment. So basically, what that means is they can just drive up and down the streets, and they have a vehicle-mounted receiver that can receive data from these transmitters on the meters.
Yeah.
And that it gives them electronic readings.
I wonder how accurate that is, though, because
Well, I would expect, I mean, understanding technology a little bit.
Yeah,
that
I get it. We
each
need
one of
to,
them has their own
advance,
ID.
but-
Yeah, each one of them has their own unique ID, and that unique ID will transmit their usage data
Yeah.
to the machine. So I would expect it's probably more accurate than the human error involved in writing down
True.
numbers.
But it's certainly much less labor intensive.
Yeah, it's a lot faster, and it's probably
So-
saved the city a lot of money
Well,
Yeah.
and labor.
They might save money, but the residents are seeing higher water bills these days. And, I mean,
I think some people have had some estimates because
Yeah.
they are, if they don't drive up a street, if they don't get it done, they are allowed to estimate bills.
And then make up for any shortfall on that estimate on future bills. That's
Yeah,
my
yeah.
understanding.
Your shortfall or surplus, they have to
But
make it.
yeah, I've heard that issue with many people. though.
yeah, because my bill went from steadily being like $80 to now 190-ish.
My
I
gosh.
mean, every month.
Well,
So,
Yeah.
there needs to be an explanation provided to you for
yeah,
that.
absolutely. So, like, I mean, but they've been having, they do less work. So, like, that still does not, I mean, there's
Yeah, that
questions
does-
there.
that
There's
doesn't-
questions there.
Yeah, that doesn't jive with Mr. Tipsard's position that he hasn't had enough help to keep the plant
Right.
in operation properly, in proper operation. Now, just a comment on your bill. Have you checked to see if you have a leak in the house
Yep.
or anything? Okay.
Sure have. All
So-
new plumbing.
Okay.
So next on the agenda was we had a treasurer's report, and our city elected treasurer, John White, great guy, got up and gave a report, discussed that there was a CD coming to maturity. I believe it was later this month in January. And that CD is earmarked for the Cemetery Perpetual Fund. And to explain to our listeners what that means is that money can only be used for things related to the city cemetery. So they can use it for upkeep, they can use it for equipment, they can use it for labor, as long as it's directly related to the cemetery. And there were some questions about using that because we're going to be purchasing was it a track hoe or an excavator or something?
Excavator, yeah.
Yeah, you're purchasing some expensive equipment, and there's I think it was $90-some thousand in that CD.
Yes.
And you raised a question that our city's CPA firm, Kemper, sent a representative to speak at a previous meeting, and he was questioned about this as well, and he indicated that we could use money from the city CDs for the Cemetery Perpetual Fund to replenish the general fund for money spent on the cemetery. For example, at a meeting early last year, I think it was summertime, we purchased a rear discharge mower for the cemetery. The benefit of that is it's discharging the grass straight out the back instead of throwing it all over the headstones, which requires further cleaning. But we took that money out of the general fund because it was not understood at the time by the current administration that we could have tapped into the Cemetery Perpetual Fund to pay for that. And that money can only be used for, we have like $500,000 or $600,000 in that fund between several CDs. So, and your question was to...
For the cemetery, we have close to 700,000, if my math is correct, 600 and some thousand.
Okay.
But I do want to clarify, the shortfall that I'm talking about, I really don't recall. That's been many months ago. I don't recall if it was a specific department or a general fund. I guess if it's the general fund, these are questions for the CPA group that the mayor needs to pose. I suppose you could take it out of any of the CDs for any of the departments and use for wages, because you have there are CDs for the water department, sewer department, and the general fund. The general fund has 225,000 in CDs. Water approximately 550, and the sewer 125.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that the shortfall was all associated with the cemetery. Is the point I'm making.
Yeah. So I know that some of the shortfall, though, is in our general fund is caused through, and again, I can understand ignorance of the situation. I was ignorant of it. You were. A lot of us, all of us were, that we didn't know we could use money from that fund to cover the equipment purchase.
Well, and I'll take that a step further. You and I were at a subcommittee meeting when the CDs came up as a topic, and if I remember correctly, the administration didn't even know how these CDs worked.
Right, and I did
We
ask.
didn't know it was allocated to certain departments. We used to get as a city council members, we would just get a list of CDs in the amount. We weren't told that those CDs were allocated to specific departments.
Correct.
And I don't even think that the mayor realized that. I mean, he can correct the record, of course, but was that your recollection?
Yeah,
from that meeting?
and that's whenever I asked him in that committee meeting if the mower had been purchased out of general fund money or not, and he indicated it was. And so that's why you questioned Mr. Benson at a full council meeting if we could replenish the fund for that purchase, and he indicated that we could. So I hope that they do that. I mean, this money, it's nice to have this rainy day fund for our cemetery perpetual fund,
but it's never used.
If we're not going to use it, it's
what happens is if we don't use it, then when it comes time to review how we come up with money to continue paying for our increased budgets, where do they look for that money at? Taxes. Right. Let's use what we have in our funds, at least a good portion of it. Let's go there first before we look at increasing everyone's taxes or rates on various
and if
things.
If we have things that we need to spend on the cemetery, we should take it from a cemetery perpetual fund instead of the general fund, because now that general fund doesn't have money in it for road repairs.
Yeah, for other things.
Or
which that's
to pay claims for people's homes or what have you. So there's a lot of
you mentioned road repairs, and we won't get on this topic for very long because I haven't done a whole lot of research on it myself. But we were at an event just recently, and do you recall what was said about the motor tax?
Yeah, it's
motor
fuel tax.
This has been diverted now through the.
This is really disturbing. So we were at an event it was a meet and greet event in Robinson, Illinois, to meet Aaron Del Mar and Darren Bailey. Darren's running for governor of the state of Illinois. He's currently the GOP frontrunner for the nomination. Aaron Del Mar, he's from Cook County, and he's a member of the GOP as well, the Republican Party, and they indicated that our motor fuel tax has been redirected. Used to, the money collected from our local motor fuel tax was directed to our local community to pay for road and infrastructure. However, a lot of that money, as I understand it, is now being redirected directly to the Chicago Transit Authority to pay for their public transportation in Chicago. So we pay tax on our gasoline. Ostensibly, we think because we're taking care of our roads, it's being redirected to Chicago, which is Illinois politics as per usual. So,
well, I don't write on that. I don't write on the Amtrak. What do I care?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Are they going to give me a free ticket then?
Or a refund?
No, for a refund. I want free tickets now.
They were talking about they want to get elected, and that's one of the things that obviously they want to get elected. That's one of the things that they would look at is changing things like that.
Right.
But anyway, so
back to our
that means we're going to have less money, at least temporarily, for our local roads.
Yeah, so we're going to have to make sure that we can use the money that we do have, the limited money that we do have in our budget effectively, making sure that if we have money that's set aside for a specific thing, that we use that money for that, so that we're not taking money out of our general fund that can be used for anything from other, other projects. So
I believe in saving personally. Obviously, and we all should work on that. Probably more than what we do. I know I could stand to, but I don't believe in going to borrow money and paying interest when you've got the money sitting there to pay for something. If you got the money to pay off your credit card, pay off your credit card, as opposed to paying that extra interest.
I'm trying, Dwayne. I'm trying.
Yeah.
You being targeted.
You know, instead of having that money, if you had the money sitting in the bank account, and I know a lot of people don't, so maybe this is a bad example, but if you did have the money to pay it off, I would think you'd pay it off instead of paying the little bit each month with all that interest. And I'm speaking about interest because we were also talking about buying a truck for the sewer department and the street department, and borrowing when, again, we have, and for the sewer, let's see, for the sewer and water department, we have a combined total of about 675,000, plus the general, again, was 225.
Yeah,
I'm not suggesting we spend it all, but, you know, that's something we should look at as opposed to
it is nice
financing all of it.
It is nice to have money in there that is earning interest. It's better to earn interest as long as it doesn't require us to go over here and borrow money and pay interest.
Right.
You know, if we're able to cash buy something and still keep our money in there earning interest, that's smart. But if we have to finance a purchase, which we're looking to do for this, we'll get to that on the agenda, then we should definitely, if we can allocate it from these CDs and save that interest, we should.
Right.
So on the agenda, next was the Ward 1 vacancy. Our friend Kelly Lewis resigned from the council last month, as we had announced, and we have been advocating for Matt Bruff. You know Matt. He's been involved in speaking at the council meetings in the past. Really nice guy, very knowledgeable. I personally think he would serve effectively on the council. You and I have had discussions. You have actually asked me, do you think he would always vote our way? And I told you that I can't guarantee that he always would. As a matter of fact, I think at times he would not, but Matt would always vote in the way that Matt believes is the right way to vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he would definitely do the right thing for the citizens,
And that was
not just for his own agenda.
Correct.
Right, exactly. And that was the point I was making when we had the discussion is, you know, I wouldn't expect him to vote how I would vote every time. But what I would expect him to do is hear me out, and I'll hear him out, and he might change my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might change his mind.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of guy he is. But you mentioned he's very knowledgeable. What specifically is he knowledgeable on would be of really great help for our city right now.
Well, Matt has over 20 years of wastewater treatment facility expertise and experience. He has, from what I understand, the highest level of certification that the state of Indiana offers. He currently operates 4 different wastewater facilities in the state of Indiana, all 4 of which put out effluent or discharge that's as crystal clear as the water in this bottle of water. And one of the plants
not
produces,
like ours, which is cloudy and smells like sewer.
One of his plants produces effluent that's clean enough that he says he would feel comfortable to drink it. That's incredible.
Which that says a lot. I mean, if you are a water and sewage person and you're willing to drink your own water,
your own product,
it's pretty incredible. So he's also got experience on a government planning commission. He was a mayoral appointee on I believe it was Knox County Planning Commission. He is a former fire captain as well. Matt has a lot of municipal experience in working in the public sector.
He's highly qualified, to sit on the council, more so than...
Yeah. And Matt and I have frequent political disagreements, but he's smart and he's measured and he's principled. I think he would do really well. So I hope the mayor.
And maybe the mayor is seriously considering him because
I hope so.
Matt is out of town right now on a.
He's on a cruise.
Yeah.
He likes water, obviously.
Good point.
Very good.
And the mayor did not appoint anyone at this last.
No, but
meeting, but
he has to do so before the next.
Maybe that's why. I don't know. Well, that's the point I'm making. Maybe he's seriously considering him. He hasn't shared his thoughts with me on that, but I hope that's the case.
Yeah, he has 60 days according to the ordinance. I believe ordinance or state law. I'm not sure to appoint him, and so they will have to have a special meeting scheduled for that purpose of appointing someone and swearing them in. That must be done within 60 days of the resignation of the previous member, which occurred on December 11th. So
if the mayor makes that decision, I would certainly credit him and kudos to him if he does.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
publicly thank him and applaud him. So the next thing on the agenda was real estate bid openings. We had a couple tracts of real estate that the city had taken possession of, and they put up for to open some bids. There was one bid each on two different pieces of property that the council, I believe, voted unanimously to accept the bids. So those are now going to go back onto the property tax rolls and be generating property tax and revenue for the state, the county, the city, and such. So that's good. The next thing on the agenda was the armory roof bidding. There were sections of the armory roof that are leaking. At a previous council meeting, it was discussed how to prioritize those sections when they were going to have what section done. And they had I think, a proposal from another builder that was not offering any sort of warranty. You questioned that?
Yeah,
Right.
Maybe I was a little confused at the meeting on this, but my recollection was there was another company, and after reading some additional information, that is correct. There was a proposal by Terry Sanders of Martinsville Roofing. The roof is divided into 4 different sections. My recollection, this has been many months ago, when we discussed this in the past, was that we were going to have one of those sections repaired, one of the 4 sections repaired, and initially there was going to be no warranty because they weren't going to replace the entire roof, and I can see that, but I questioned, should they at least warranty their work? That was addressed, and I believe that they agreed to do that. I also questioned if we knew which of those 4 sections was creating the most damage to the basketball court, and nobody knew.
Right.
So I made the suggestion that before we decide on which section to repair first, it would make sense to me that we would find out which section was causing the damage.
Wouldn't it be great? I'm sorry to interrupt. Wouldn't it be great if we had the previous council meeting live streamed and recorded so that we could refer back to exactly what was discussed?
Yeah.
That would be awesome,
That
wouldn't
would have been amazing. That would have been amazing.
Sorry to interrupt you, Dwayne. That thought hit me. I think that I've been recording the last 2 meetings, for our YouTube channel. But gosh dang it, the city needs to get a proper live streaming setup done.
And you can go back, and it's not just for the benefit of the citizens either. It's for the benefit of the council members.
Yes.
Yes.
You can't be expected to remember all the details of something that you discussed 6 months ago.
Right.
Not only that, is it gives you more information. You can refer back and be like, okay, well, they said this. Okay, so you can make better, rational decisions on things.
Yeah.
Right.
And the biggest complaint was, the only objection that I heard to doing this, and I'm sorry to get off topic of our previous meeting, but was the cost. Do you know that I've done the research? There is money out there to pay for it.
Yeah.
Probably and pay for it completely. As a matter of fact, there are 2 sources of funding that I found was the AARP, which was they started soliciting me when I was way too young for membership. But
They started soliciting me 2 years ago.
I'll be 50 in about 3 weeks, so I'm old enough now. But
Hey, I did buy into it. I mean, there's some good discounts in there.
yeah.
Just saying.
But they have funds available to help municipalities such as Lawrenceville to set up a live streaming and broadcasting system to broadcast these meetings because of the older citizens who are either homebound or unable due to health reasons or transportation limitations to get to a city council meeting, to allow them to participate and engage in the civic process. Also, there is a source of funding specifically for broadcast equipment that would pay for it, and that is through it's a law that allows the city to tack on like an extra 35 cents to each cable subscriber's bill in the city, within city limits, and that 35 cents would go into a fund specifically to pay for this equipment. 35 cents, I think,
for live streaming.
I think it's 35 cents to $1.50 per subscriber per month, and they can sunset that so that it goes away after enough money is raised to pay for the equipment.
It's a no-brainer to me that the meetings need to be live streamed, again, so people can watch them as they're happening at home, but also, so that information can be archived and referred back to. That's a no-brainer. I think any reasonable person would agree with that. I've not spoken to anyone who doesn't think it's a good idea, other than the other 7 city council members and the mayor.
Yeah.
So you can decide why you think they may not want those to be recorded.
So next,
back to the roof, though.
Yep.
I just want to make this point. It was a logical suggestion, I think. Find out which roof is causing the most damage, because the rest of the building is either concrete slab. It's not the basketball court, which is what you need to protect the most. And I suggested that we look into which section of that roof is creating the most damage, and no one was interested in pursuing that. They actually voted on, and I'll go back if anyone would like to know when this occurred and what section of the roof. I'll have to go back and do the research, but I do know that no one wanted to do the research, and I say no one. I'm talking about the administration, the mayor's office, or that department that's over the armory, to go back and find and see which roof was causing that most damage, and then allocate our resources to fixing that section. They just arbitrarily picked one of the 4 sections off the list. I believe they picked section 1 without knowing whether that was the one causing the damage.
Okay.
And I know that we voted to go ahead and pursue getting that done back many months ago, and I thought that was already a done deal. And now we're going through the bidding process, which maybe some of that's my misunderstanding on how that was supposed to work. But we did have this other company that I just mentioned a while ago, Terry Sanders of Martinsville Roofing. That's how we have the numbers. One section's 24,000, the other one's 35. Another one's 35, another one's 24. Those came from that company, and it was my understanding we had made a decision to fix one of those. But now I guess we have an architectural company that's going to monitor the bidding process.
that's probably a good idea, since they have
I don't have
expertise.
anything against that, but it
I
wasn't clear as what was going on
with
before.
so much questions in this, though, it just seems like there's lack of interest in truly building a place for people to go and be part of a community. I actually said in the last meeting, the Armory's hours. I mean, closes at 11 a.m. There's a basketball,
Are they not
court
doing
there.
it in the evening now?
No.
They were for a while.
They were for a while, but since I asked and everything, it still remained on the board to 11 a.m. It had every time the kids try to go up there, because I said, hey, I asked about it, and the kids, even some of the neighbor kids even came up to me. It's like, hey, I thought you said something, you asked.
Yeah, because the mayor told us it was going to open in the evenings, and that's been many months ago.
They have rode their bike up there, and it is closed.
Yes, I don't know what's going on there. We brought it up. They said they were going to open it up in the evenings, and it has not been done.
Yeah, I would rather my kids be riding their bike up there to play some basketball indoors in a safe environment than have them running the streets like they were.
Yeah.
And like you said, one very important point, it is ours. Which leads me to something that we, at the meeting in Robinson we went to, we ran into a couple from here that had approached our mayor about doing a community soup kitchen once a week or once a month. I'm not sure the frequency of it, where they would provide a charity service to the community. We have a lot of people. People may not realize we have homeless people in our community.
Yes, we do.
And it's terribly sad. We need to do something for that. But the mayor's, according to them, the mayor's response was, "No, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it for the community."
Yeah,
Which blows my mind.
Blows my
Right.
mind. I mean, homeless people are part of our
That
community.
is community, yeah.
Some of them them are some of the great, street personalities that we got.
Yeah.
And to be fair to the mayor, we just found out this last night.
Yeah.
And we're going to do some more research on this. But according to that couple, they were willing to devote their time and energy, and it wasn't going to cost the city anything other than allowing them to use them and their organization to use the armory to provide a meal for people once a week. And they were shut down.
Was it once a week or once a month? I don't remember.
Yeah, I thought it was once a week, but maybe.
I can't remember. But
so it wasn't just, obviously once a week or once a month, either one is going to keep someone, who's in need of food. It's not going to provide for them daily, of course, but the other aspect of what this couple was wanting to get done was to provide fellowship and support in other ways.
Right. It's much like what the local Catholic Church does on Monday mornings. We've been attending the breakfast there.
Right. And doesn't Scott Polk's building still do that? I know or his church. They did.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I should know that. But they provided a meal once a week.
I think they do on Thursday evening. They used to on Thursday evenings or something right before their Thursday service.
Right. So if you're familiar with that, that's the kind of thing this guy was wanting to do. He and his wife. So we will look into that and have more updates.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. If they want to feed,
if they're still interested, we'll look into it.
If they want to feed people who are indigent and poor, that's what else is community resources for than to take care of the community?
Right.
So that's just to show you that we've put it out to people. If you've got issues that you're interested in, you don't feel like you've gotten anywhere with it, or even a brand new topic that you want looked into, come to us and we'll do what we can to research it. This guy came to us and we're going to look into it.
Yeah, it doesn't guarantee that 100% of the things you come to us with is going to be something that we're going to get on board with. I mean,
or that we can get accomplished even if
someone
we are on board with it.
Someone comes forward with a community skydiving initiative, I'm probably not going to get behind that.
Right.
I'm scared of heights for one. So.
But again, even if we are on board with it, maybe something will come of it, maybe it won't.
Yeah. Might be able to at least direct you in the right direction.
Yeah.
So next thing on the agenda was a cemetery excavator, as we'd already discussed, and we believe that should come out of the Cemetery Perpetual Fund, which they have agreed to do that. Mm-hmm. What's left over out of that CD, there were some questions. But anyway, moving on to the vacuum and jet truck for the streets and alleys and the utilities departments. This truck will allow for a number of things. One, I think this is a positive step in the right direction for our sewer plant and our water department. It really is. And I applaud the city, the mayor, and Mr. Tipsword. And I know some people, their jaw just hit the floor, but I applaud Mr. Tipsword and the mayor for moving forward on this. It is a positive thing. We need one of these trucks to help clean out our storm sewer drains to prevent massive flooding like we experienced twice in the last year, and also to clean out. They won't get rid of all root ball intrusions out of sewer lines, but they can blast out some of the smaller root intrusions, which is a good thing. They can clean out some of the buildup around the edges of the pipe. It's a good thing. Also, whenever there's a water main break, as I understand it, and the city has broken through the street or something, or they've dug a hole, and it's filling with water, this truck can suck that water out to allow for a little bit easier work environment. So, positive thing.
Yeah, I can appreciate you applauding the mayor and Mr. Tipser, but I want to give more credit to the citizens that have brought this up in meetings. Jennifer and Scott and Hannah Durant, Hannah's parents.
And Bill and Janet Horn have advocated for this as well.
The first time that this suggestion has come about, it came about from the citizens. So
yes, it did. As far as I'm aware, that's true.
Aware, it's never come up. That I'm aware of in previous meetings.
Yeah, and the way we're going to get this equipment, as I understand, is another municipality. They lease new equipment on a 3-year rolling lease, And this equipment that we're looking at is the company, the dealership is not yet in possession of it. They will be getting possession of it when the other municipalities' new equipment arrives.
Right.
And then, so it's a trade-in essentially. It's a lease turn-in, and it will be. And on a lease, the good thing about that is that working in the car industry, I know that lease vehicles are good ones to buy because you're required to maintain them as the leasee. So that's a good thing for us. It's also going to save us about $300,000 versus purchase cost. You brought up a really interesting idea, though, was cost sharing with another municipality. I understand that the mayor of Bridgeport has indicated he is interested in, if his council would approve it.
Yeah, this was just kind of an
sharing.
off-the-record conversation.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, not really off the record, but just bumped into him,
Yeah.
talked to him, and he was very interested in
Yeah, it's a great
doing that.
it's a great idea. Mr. Waldrop on the council also raised a valid concern that this equipment is expensive. We will own it, and if we're going to loan it to another community for cost sharing or to rent it to them, we need to make sure that one of our guys who is properly trained to operate the equipment goes with it. Now, I hope that it's also under consideration that that community, if they rent our equipment, they're also renting our labor force that has to go with it.
Right, yeah. Not just paying us our cost, there needs to be an additional cost, obviously, to that, to help pay for the cost of the equipment, and, that's a good idea. I could have went with either, cost sharing the initial purchase and maintenance of the vehicle with another community or two or three, but I can also see the wisdom in wanting to own it yourself. And
sure, because then we can say
so
no.
I can,
if we need it, we can say no.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that in the end may be the better idea.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even brought up until we brought it up. So I don't know if there's genuinely that much interest in it or not, but I do hope that they take that into consideration, actually pursue that idea, because you can get some of your cost back for the purchase of the vehicle.
So during the water department update and water well treatment and the sewer plant update, we're going to roll that all into one, because the mayor had discussed a correspondence he received from the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency. Imagine that. The city of Lawrenceville is receiving correspondence from the Illinois EPA again. But this time it was in regards to a pending notice of violations that the city is to imminently receive, that is going to refer to multiple violations with our water department. As I understand it, it is not about the quality of our drinking water. So far we don't want to alarm anybody. As we understand it, our water is fine. We are not outside of any limits with any chemicals or anything. It's safe to drink. But there are some concerns with infrastructure and security and equipment maintenance that could lead to water that's out of balance in the future. Or it could lead to, if somebody dons a ski mask and decides to go and throw poison, our public water supply, they could do it because there's not proper fencing set up for security yet.
Right.
Not something that a small town usually thinks about, but it's something that, unfortunately, in this day and age, we got to think about.
Well, we can't roll out anything these days.
Yeah,
exactly.
But one of the things on that list of violations that was really, that you and I had a chuckle about. Dwayne, would you mind reading the very last item that you pointed out to me on that second page?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
I do want to read from the first page of the letter to the mayor and city council from the EPA, dated December 23rd. And it says in bold print, due to the nature and seriousness of the violations discovered, Lawrenceville will receive a formal violation notice under separate correspondence. So, that it was, the potential violations were downplayed by the mayor, Mr. Tipshert, and maybe Maybe they were right in doing that. I don't know. We don't know for sure what the violations are.
Yeah, not to cause a public panic, I think is a
Right,
good
yeah,
thing. Yes.
Yeah,
But they are serious.
That's the correspondence we received. Before I read the last one, I just want to read a few of the others first, and then we'll get to the last one, because we won't discuss in detail the others as much. A potential cross-connection exists between the lines entering the slow sand filter. That is not done. Consider, again, this is the EPA's word for word things that they found. Consider installing a totalizer on the filter backwash meter. Continue to replace water main less than 3 inches in diameter. Establish a valve maintenance program. Ensure that all finished water storage facilities provide adequate turnover. Provide suction discharge pressure gauges on all pumping facilities. Consider creating a written mutual aid agreement with another public water supply. Notify customers when disturbances could allow for the release of lead sediment. That system is not in place. A system to notify customers, apparently. To notify us. Install security fencing around all water storage facilities. And then the last item on here, again, this is not the actual violation notice. These are things that they
findings.
Yeah, findings that they had during their inspection. The violations may actually read a little differently. We don't know yet. Adopt contingency plans for loss of key personnel.
Okay, let me read that one again. That one. Adopt contingency plans for the loss of key personnel. That would be like having a redundancy plan for other staff members of the water or sewer plant, this specifically water plant this time, who are either already Class A certified or on a track to become Class A certified operators in the event that Mr. Tipsword, something happens to him, he accepts a job elsewhere, for one reason or another is no longer our operator. We need to have redundancy. Isn't it interesting that the Illinois EPA agrees with what we've been saying at the recent city council meetings?
Did they talk to you about that before the inspection, the EPA?
The EPA did not. They did not consult. They did not consult me. No, they did not. But
I mean, it's just it's
common sense.
It's common sense.
It's common sense.
In place already. Yeah.
If you have a vital position that is necessary, absolutely necessary, like we have a sewer plant, we have a water plant, we have to have them. They're basic infrastructure needs for the city. And the law requires that we have a person with a certain level of certification for each of those plants. In the case for Lawrenceville, both of those certifications rest with one individual. If that individual, God forbid, suffers a heart attack, he's close to my age. He's, I think, a year or two younger than me. I'll be 50 in a few weeks. We're at the prime age for that. And he has a high-stress job. I don't mean to be adding too much stress to that job, but he does have a high-stress job. What happens if he has a medical emergency and our city no longer has someone with that necessary certification? And now we find out that the EPA also says that we must have some sort of contingency plan in place. And I noticed that when the mayor was discussing the many reasons for the violation, the pending notice of violations, and he had Mr. Tipsword discuss all of the issues, that one thing didn't come up in the public meeting. So we just want to let everybody know that is on this publicly available document from the EPA, which I have FOIA requested a copy of it, that I'll get a good clean copy of it, but I can make photographs of this and share with anybody that wants it.
Not only that is in any job, for example, you're a doctor, and they see patients, and they have appointments, and they have patients. They would have a backup,
Yes,
a physician to help fill in.
Yep.
I mean, you still have a job duty to complete. Yes, absolutely, any job, factory work, anything. So, I mean, it would make it makes sense for any position to have a backup plan.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, whenever.
And this isn't something like we've had this in place before and lost the person, the backup. We've never had the backup. That responsibility lies with the mayor.
Well, we did under the previous plant operator.
Well, I'm
we
talking
had-
about since
yeah,
2018.
Correct.
Yeah.
But under the previous plant operator, we had Aaron Tipsword, who was on track to receive both of his certifications for both plants. There was a contingency plan in place then. He was on track for certification. And since then, as far as I understand, we don't have anybody else that has any proper EPA certifications to run either plant.
Right.
And I FOIA requested certifications for all city employees.
And you're talking, kind of best case scenario if he wants to go on vacation for a month or a couple weeks or whatever. The rationale of not having having a backup is obvious and it's common sense, like what we've just been discussing. But that's one of the reasons that the mayor has cited to me personally as to why, even with all these numerous violations, and I'm not going to go over all the issues we've had with Mr. Tipsard and the sewer plant and the EPA violations. We've done that numerous times already, but that's one of the reasons why he says he wouldn't consider, removing Mr. Tipsard from that position, because we have nobody else.
And we have nobody else because the mayor hasn't done his job, in my opinion, to make sure that we have redundancy in those positions. Yeah.
So think about that, everyone. That's one of the reasons that the mayor specifically told me that we have not, that he won't consider a replacement for Mr. Tipsard as a result of all these violations, is because we have no one to replace him.
Yeah. Well,
does that sound?
It's terrible to put yourself in a position where one person can exercise so much control over you.
Exactly.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So on to the next thing on the agenda. It's old business, payroll timekeeping. This one was really disappointing. The discussion was made about last month at a council meeting. You had put forth the motion to require city employees to at least handwrite their start time and stop time in lieu of an actual time clock. Okay?
Yeah, until they decided on a timekeeping system, which is what they've said for many months now.
Yeah.
They were going to do was implement a timekeeping system, an electronic timekeeping system.
Well, they did approve a timekeeping system at the meeting the other night. They approved no timekeeping system other than handwritten. So here's the interesting thing. Have you ever worked with someone that's dishonest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Is it possible that someone would show up at 7:15 and be like, they're running late? I run late for work a lot. I will be late for my own funeral. But they show up at 7:15 and like, man, I'm supposed to be here at 7 o'clock, so I'm just going to go ahead and write that I start at 7 o'clock on my timesheet.
I was there in theory, So.
Yeah. I was thinking about work at 7 o'clock. So
Exactly.
I'm gonna. And again, I'm not saying that our city workers are dishonest. I don't believe that that's the case. I think we have some really good city employees.
I think we do too.
I think we have in my opinion, we have a couple bad apples, and you know the old phrase, it takes one bad apple to ruin the whole damn bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, but why not just have a system in place that eliminates even the possibility of that?
yes. Even the image of impropriety goes away.
On another level, too, like, what if there's employees that are not actually getting paid accordingly to what they're putting in?
Yeah, what if they show up
You know,
at 6:45, but they write 7 o'clock on their timesheet?
And they're not getting paid, for that time that they are doing.
Yeah.
Well, and in that case, if you show up at 6:45 and your shift starts at 7, you can punch in at 6:45, but you shouldn't be getting paid unless you're working that 15 minutes.
Correct.
And, and unless you have approved overtime, you shouldn't. Your pay doesn't start till 7. Mm-hmm. So that would be my answer to that. Mm-hmm. But
it would eliminate any human error.
Mm-hmm. And they're there. Mm-hmm. You know that they're there because they've had something, be it a time clock or call-in system or whatever. You have an electronic footprint, so to speak, of some type that they were actually at work.
Yeah. The police department has an electronic system. Their radios, when they log on, our chief of police, Jim White, explained it. Their radios are digital, as I understand it, and when he goes on shift, it clocks him in. So that is proof that he's on the job. And when he clocks off the end, it clocks him out. Also, our police, I mean, they wear body cams, and they log in with dispatch. There's really good timekeeping there, but we need that for all city employees. There's potential
insurance issues with that as well.
Yeah, yeah. I had my old HR manager. I'm a commissioned sales rep, and under a pay plan, I was purely commissioned. And I asked her, I said, well, why do I have to clock in and clock out? I don't get paid hourly. And she said, well, if you happen to fall down at work and get hurt, and I think she cursed me because I did fall down at work not long after that. I broke my elbow.
Oh.
Yeah. But I was on city, not city. I was on company property. I was on the clock. I fell down and broke my elbow. The company's insurance paid for it.
And
I didn't have to pay.
You had proof of that by an electronic means.
So it's for workman's comp reasons. They want to make sure that if there's a workman's comp claim, workman's comp insurance companies, they try not to pay. That's their job. Insurance companies try to find ways to not pay claims.
Right.
You know, that's how they have the biggest buildings in every town. They're really good at collecting your money and not so good at letting it back into your pocket. So we need to have that for accountability reasons, and also for the one or two people. There's on the whole, we have a pretty good group of workers, but is it possible that one or two might not be 100% honest? It's possible. This eliminates the speculation.
Yeah.
This eliminates the public. There was so much public uproar last year about Mr. Tipsword's pay and Chief White's pay and all that. If there was clock in and clock out to prove that they're working these hours, it would end the public's scrutiny of, not completely end it. There's some people that are going to complain about anything, but it will, for the most part, end public scrutiny over their pay because there's proof that they're actually being paid to do this. So,
well, and part of the rationale for not doing this was that it's only 28 workers. It doesn't matter if it's one. I may be wrong about this. I think I might be the only person on the council that has had a business before where you had employees, and I had a sign-in sheet. Now, I was at work, so I would see them there, but they didn't just put down the number of hours. They put the time they got in and the time they clocked out, and then we did the math, the calculation to see how many hours that they worked that day. I do not understand why we would not want to do that. I was the only one on the council to vote against a manual system. Something else you have to consider when you're doing a manual system, you've got...
Jim Dunn voted against.
Yes, I apologize. Yes, Jim Dunn did. Yes, he did. And that's another thing. I don't know why the mayor didn't take, I wish he would have taken went through and asked for everyone's vote. He just asked for a yay and a nay vote. I wanted everyone to be on, so you have to watch the video to see who voted against it. And again, it was just against the manual system. It was just me and Jim Dunn. I apologize, Mr. Dunn. Yes, thank you for that support on that. But the mayor, in my opinion, should have went through and asked each individual council member for their vote. There would have been a record by name of their vote. And he didn't do that. I don't know why he didn't do that. Most of the time, we take voice votes.
I'm gonna look into that, but I think I may be wrong. Our city council operates under Robert's Rules of Order, and I think that under Robert's Rules of Order, that if a member of that board requests a roll call vote, then it can be done. So let's look into that, because if that's the case, next time there's a voice vote like that and you want it on the record who votes how, then you can request a roll call vote.
It took me by surprise. I did not realize he was going to do it that way. But one of the council members, Mr. Russell Goins, he actually said, well, it's only 28 city workers. Well, if you take those, because I brought up the point that there's labor involved in calculating those hours. And his rebuttal was, well, it's only 28 workers. Okay, well, let's say they do this every 2 weeks. So on a 2-week period, every one of those 28 workers has to spend a few minutes calculating their hours, doing the math. Then the 4 supervisors are supposed to review all of their subordinates' timesheets, and if they're doing it correctly, they should be spending time to do that, not just signing off on them, but actually making sure the math is correct. Then the city clerk is supposed to be spending time reviewing the math before the paychecks are cut.
Sure.
The mayor is supposed to be looking at the 4 supervisors. Do your own math and all this calculation. I just figured, using a 5-minute time frame for each of these people to do that for the 28 individual workers. Obviously, you'd have more time involved in that with the supervisors reviewing numerous timesheets. But you're looking at a couple of $100 a month easily in labor time doing math that would be eliminated by using a time clock or an electronic system of some other sort, whether it be a telephone where you call in or something. So there's that. We are spending money for people to sit down and do math. And human beings being human beings, there's the potential for honest mistakes. And we've proven that this manual system has created mistakes. So you can eliminate the labor involved in calculating it. You can eliminate the human error aspect of it, right? And you can eliminate the ability for anyone to be dishonest about recording their time. Why would we not want time clocks? I was flabbergasted that the other 6 council members voted the way they did, and Mr. Dunn and I voted what I believe is the common sense way.
You're saying
did you hear
Kelly Lewis
some
not there, the other 5. It was 5-2 because there's only 7.
That's correct. Kelly was there. So 5. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 5-2.
Yeah. But congratulations to Jim Dunn. He spoke up about a few things, but he was disgusted about that as well. He was very disappointed, and I agree with him. It was just a matter of read the room.
He did say that, Mr. Dunn, that during the subcommittee meetings that he attended, where they discussed these timekeeping issues, he and the city treasurer, Mr. John White, were the only 2 that were really pushing for time clocks of some sort, and no one else wanted to do it.
Yeah, and it's disappointing for sure. So,
and there's no rational reason whatsoever to not do it.
Yeah, and Jim Dunn being an alderman over the ward where Jennifer and I both live, we live 4 blocks from one another, 4 or 5 blocks from one another in the same ward. I want to thank him for properly representing the will of the people as well, and I thank you as well, Dwayne. It's just a matter of read the room. The amount of people who are speaking up, I don't know, maybe I'm overestimating, but I would say 70 to 80% of the people that attend these city council meetings are easily in the camp of supporting our initiatives. Would you agree with that, Dwayne? Mm-hmm. What about you, Jen?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah. I do get some pushback on social media, almost exclusively from anonymous participants, people who operate under an anonymous name or a pseudonym online to hide their true identity.
How many times have you found that pushback is backed up with a discussion of the actual issue as opposed to personality differences? Which we get into personality differences like we had with Mr. Fritz. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
It's almost always ad hominem attacks.
It's never about
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say there are some people that push back, and they're intelligent and respectful. There's a young man locally. I don't know him personally. His name's Logan. He disagrees with a lot of what I'm doing, but he's intelligent. He's obviously intelligent by the way he communicates with me. He's respectful, and he's entitled to his opinion, and I respect him for it. Mm-hmm. I would love to have him on the show. Is he engaging you
with specific suggestions or issues, or is he does he seem to be supporting or not supporting?
I don't always agree with some of his arguments about focusing. I focus too much on the past and not the future.
Okay, well, that's not talking about the issue.
The past is prologue, in my opinion. If a person has demonstrated a pattern of activity, it's safe to assume that they're going to continue that pattern of activity in the future unless they are. It's kind of like
that's we do that all the time.
Newton's laws of motion. That an object in motion remains in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. So this person, their pattern activity is going to continue unless they're acted upon by an outside force. So. And again, past being prologue, that I think the past is important, but he disagrees with me, and he's entitled to that. But I would love to have him on the show. But next on our agenda for the council meeting was public comments, and we had a handful of people that spoke at the council meeting. We had and I don't remember her name. It's on the full video of the council meeting that's posted on our YouTube channel here. Be sure to check that out. It's for the January 8th, 2026 council meeting. We had a lady from a communications company get up and speak about fiber internet coming to the community. And we get vendors once in a while that get up and speak, and it's trying to solicit the city for one reason or another. But the next person on the agenda was Ed Brumley. Ed is an intelligent guy. He did a really interesting video a few years ago. He climbed all the way to the top of the clock tower at the courthouse. And that was real. He is braver than me. I've already said I'm scared of heights. But he climbed all the way to the top of the clock tower with a video camera. If you get a chance to find that video on YouTube, you should watch it. It's really interesting.
What was the purpose of that? Just before drones?
Just his... Well, it was inside. Well, I guess there are drones that can do that now, but... Okay. But yeah, he just for his historical reasons. Ed used to
But was
run.
it to get outside pictures once he got up there? Was that?
I don't recall. It's been a few years since I've seen the video, but I remember.
I didn't know that.
Of what in my mind at the time it seemed like rickety stairs. They may have been perfectly stable. I don't know, but in my mind it's like, oh, there's no way.
Okay, so that was part of his His thing was to show the inside of it.
Yes.
I thought you meant he was getting up there to give it.
We used to have, if you go to our courthouse, and the stairs that go up on one side, and there used to be a mirroring stair set on the other side.
Okay.
And that's occupied, I think, by the elevator shaft now. And there was a skylight above the ceiling of the second floor of the courthouse as well. And from what I understand, stained glass and all that. I hear it was very beautiful. But anyway, he spoke about the apportionment of council members and the four wards, being divided the way they are, and the population density of the four wards. And he showed that in Ward 3, which is Russell Goins and Dawn Brewer, they have over 1,000 registered voters in that ward. And again, this is registered voters too, so that the numbers could be skewed a little bit. Maybe they're more civically involved. Maybe the registered voters in your ward, maybe they're not as heavy of a percentage of people in your ward register to vote. That's entirely possible.
And in my ward, and I share that ward with Ron Waldrop. It's downtown as well.
Yeah, business district. So. Yeah. But maybe in a reapportionment, realigning of the ward lines, the boundaries, is warranted in the future. Maybe I believe it should be looked at. But it appeared that in Russell and Dawn's ward, 40% of the city's registered voters live in that ward, when it should be as close to 25% for each of the four wards, as possible. So it was an interesting thing. He recommended that Ward 2, which is your ward, and Ward 4, which is where we live, Ward 4 being all areas of the city south of Cedar Street, would be combined into a single ward.
I like the idea you mentioned that Mount Carmel does.
Yeah, it's interesting. As I understand it, I have a friend that used to serve on the city council in Mount Carmel. His name is Dick Schoaf.
And I haven't researched it to see if this is accurate, but
Yeah.
go ahead. What you found?
And he and I had a conversation about the ward, about city council business back when I was running for city council. So this was a year ago.
Okay.
And he's a very educated man. He was a former educator, history, government educator, great guy. But he explained to me, and as I recall, and I could be wrong, but Mount Carmel has council members at large. So the council members, multiple people run for council, and I think, let's just say they have, I don't remember how many members they have, say they have 5 city council members. The top 5 vote getters are the ones who are elected to the council.
Not specifically assigned to.
They're not assigned to a ward, and they represent the city at large. And then the committee assignments are given based based upon how many votes they get. So the top vote getter gets his choice of what committees. The way it works in our city is much like it works in Congress, where the Speaker of the House will appoint members, to the different committees. For the majority and minority leader, they appoint their members to these committees. Our city, the mayor appoints councils to certain, and I don't know if that's the right way or the wrong way, but it's our way.
Does Mount Carmel also live stream?
Mount Carmel, as I understand, does live stream their meetings. They set up a cell phone camera to live stream their meetings.
Yeah.
From what I understand, yes.
Sounds like all those things are logical.
And the council members at large, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, the live streaming, they also have electronic, from what I understand, they have electronic notepads that the council members share for receiving documents from city council versus paper. And I don't know, I'd be interested to know if they use time clocks for the city workers.
Yeah, they send.
If they do or not.
I don't remember. I'll have to take a look. I did send a FOIA request to them for that. I know there are communities in our area that do use time clocks, because I've submitted FOIA requests for them, and I've gotten copies of time.
And I realize there are some that don't,
slips.
But that doesn't take away from the arguments or the debating points that we've made already about that. It needs to be done. It's logical.
Well, if I went
there's no logical, in my opinion, debate against it.
If I went to a doctor and he told me that he was going to start bloodletting, and the reason he does bloodletting is because another doctor somewhere else does bloodletting, I'm probably not going to go to that doctor.
Yeah.
Just because, or as everybody's mother has said, if all of your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge with them?
Right.
I think that is a very, very weak rationalization for why we do our timekeeping, because other communities do.
Exactly.
Why can't we lead these other communities into the 21st century? I mean, we are a full 2 decades into the 21st century.
That was the point I was making about everything else they've done, and maybe they do use time clocks, I don't know. But all these other things that we just talked about that they do, council members at large, assigning committee members, because I know people realize that I've said this before or not, but I was taken off committees once because I opposed the mayor in the last election. I was removed from certain committees, and I haven't had a committee meeting for many of the committees that I sat on for going on a year now. And that's okay if that's how they want to do it, but I think assigning people by the number of votes they get would be a good way of doing it.
What do you think about the relining, merging our ward with Dwayne's ward, and that would eliminate 2 council members off the board?
I honestly think it probably does need to be realigned in some sort of way.
Yeah.
I just feel like, we've built on to this city, and I mean, how are they being represented? So I mean, how are they going to be grouped together? Yeah,
we have 2 council members who are over 1,000 registered voters, and maybe that's a reason. The Durants were on here a week ago, and we've had private conversations with them, and that they have 2 city council members who really haven't shown, in our opinion or their opinion, much interest in the situation that they've been going through for this last year. And maybe if they're overwhelmed with maybe they're just overwhelmed with too many constituents in their ward. So
That's for them to answer.
their ward should be cut in half and maybe add a couple council seats. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like there needs to be more council seats because, I mean, not every spot in your ward is going to be the same or have same or similar, you know, like situations or environments. So, like, I mean, to have more of a representation of different parts of our city, I mean, would be official, like, essential.
And before anybody gets on the whole, that's going to cost so much money because of adding 2 more people we've got to pay so much money to. Council members earn $3,000 a year and $50 a month for their cell phones. It is a very small amount of money. Our city leadership does not get paid. Our city mayor earns $30,000 a year. It is not. You're not flush with cash as the mayor of the city, or as council members. You know, $250 a month. You're getting rich off of it, right?
Yeah, but that $250 includes the $50 for the phone. So yeah, it's $199 plus.
So it's included.
Well, that's
depending on what,
because they're taking withholdings out.
Yeah,
from money, so.
Yeah, but it comes out to about it's not $3,600. It's
well, according to the ordinance, it should be $3,000 a year is your salary and $50 a month for your phone. So
that's the current ordinance. When was that changed? You know?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
So maybe they're shorting you $50 a month.
or maybe I'm just not. Maybe I'm incorrect on that.
Yeah. But anyway, public comments. Next person on the list was Kelsey Mikowitz, and she read a statement that was very good. She did a good job. She spoke about her embarrassment and disgust of the way Alderman Fritsch acted last month. He is her representative, currently her only representative on the council since Ms. Lewis has resigned.
Yeah.
And last month, we have on video, watched the video of the December 11th city council meeting. I confronted Alderman Fritsch because he had vulgarities written on his folder about you, Dwayne. And when I confronted him about it, he goes, "So?" And then I accused him. See, he voted against your motion to have the employees write their start and stop times.
Right.
Yeah.
Which again, I made that motion as a kind of a stopgap measure until they decided on which timekeeping system to use. Which again, they voted against that altogether this month. But yeah, my motion was, hey, in the meantime, while you're taking your time to decide which timekeeping system to use, which that subcommittee has said all along that's what they were going to do.
Yep.
I suspect, this is just a suspicion of mine, one of the reasons that they decided against it altogether came as a result of a union meeting that they had, a closed union meeting recently that I chose not to go to because it was closed, and we get into that later. But I suspect that's one of the reasons why there's been a change of heart in that. But yeah, my motion at that time was to just simply have them write their start and stop times until we came up with the time clock system.
Well, back to this though. Mr. Fritsch voted against it, and I accused him at the time. You voted against the motion because Dwayne Volkman put the motion forward, and you voted against it because you don't like him. And his response to me wasn't a denial. It was 2 words. It's funny how 2 words is a common theme in our city. His 2 words, damn right. So he openly admitted that he voted against your motion because of his animus toward you with the words damn right, to which I told him that it was irresponsible and childish, and I took my seat. Mrs. Mikowitz spoke to that, and she suggested that if he can't take the job of being a council member seriously and act responsibly, that he should step down and resign, and in her words, let the adults govern. And I thought that was wonderful. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, she was straight on. I mean, if you're going to be out there representing our community, act right. Act right. Act like you're invested in our community. I mean, at least.
Yeah.
You don't have to like everyone else that's on the board.
Yeah.
On the
you don't even have to I know.
And I
You have
addressed
to,
that.
like,
Yeah. I don't care how you feel about me,
How would you feel if?
but vote correct. Vote based on the proposition, not on personality.
I think it's fair to say, due to all of this, it's probably fair to say that you do not like Mr. Fritsch. Is that fair?
I mean, you'd have to define what "do not like" means. I mean, if he was in need of something, he recently went through in the last couple of years a health scare, and I was concerned for him then. Do I care about how he operates and makes his decisions? No, I don't.
Do you like him as a person?
As a human being, yeah. As a person representing our community, no. I think we could do better.
Let me drill down a little farther. I'm gonna press you hard. Like, would you hang out with him as a friend?
No, we don't have the same values.
Now, how would you feel about our friend Mr. Volkman if he voted against a motion raised by Mr. Fritsch just simply because he doesn't want to be his friend?
I'd be like, what? I'd be like, what?
Yeah, you would question me, even though we agree on so many other issues. I would expect you to push back on me.
You and I are good friends. And I always say, if I saw that you voted against one of his motions, his motion that made sense, simply because you don't like him, I would be disgusted.
I'd be shaking you. Be like, what? What's wrong with you?
But we are friends because I trust that you would never make that kind of decision based upon personal animus. You would make the decision based upon the merits of the motion.
Yes.
And that is what Mr. Fritsch should be doing. That's not what he does.
Should be doing.
Yes, 100%. So the next person that spoke was Kelsey's husband, Mitch Mikowitz. Mitch spoke
He was
briefly.
passionate.
He was very passionate. He spoke briefly about how he feels as a card-carrying union member, that the members of our city employment and our city government are giving unions a bad name. He feels that there is absolutely, and this is a person who was a union member, he feels there's absolutely nothing wrong with clocking in and clocking out for an hourly employee.
He took it a step further and suggested there be cameras at the clock in and clock out stations.
Yeah, he said that in turnstiles. I don't think. I personally don't think that's, something that's doable because of the many facilities and the extreme cost for that.
Right.
But a time clock is appropriate, and but he said that y'all are giving unions a bad name.
But you could have a low cost camera mounted where people check in and out. I mean, he made the suggestion, and I've got to say, I don't know that I'm opposed to that. I know of someone in this community personally with a private company who was clocking a relative of theirs in and out of their job, and I don't know how they were actually discovered, but when they were discovered, they were both let go. Maybe they had a camera in place and it was finally caught that way. I don't know.
There are low-cost cameras too.
Yeah, that's what
I use some in my home.
Yeah.
They stream to the cloud. There are cameras in the facility where we record our podcast that stream to the cloud. It's a very small monthly expense to have that done. The cameras are very low cost. They're very good cameras. We
talked about earlier about people just, human beings, we have our flaws, and the people involved in this issue in the private company weren't people that most of their friends and family would think they would do it, and they were, and they were fired for it. So, eliminate eliminate the possibility of people doing that. But anyway, he brought up cameras and time clocks, and he's not alone in that thinking. In the time clock issue, I would expect you'd have a high percentage of people that if you went to people in the community, which I have, but if everyone were asked about, do you think it's logical and reasonable to have a time clock for your job, most people are going to say yes.
And I'll go a little further than that. Even the ones who say, I don't care either way, as soon as you make it relevant to their wallet, say, hey, listen, this is your money that are paying these employees.
Yeah.
Now, do you want a time clock? They would want a time clock, most of them.
This is not just an arbitrary thing that we've come up with. It's there's logic behind it.
So the next person that we'll speak about that spoke on to the council, a very impassioned speech. This person spoke about retaliation, and gosh, we're talking about you. You addressed the council members, and you spoke about some retaliation that you've been subjected to. This started because of a flooding issue that happened in your home, and you spoke to the mayor and to the council, and you actually mentioned something the mayor said to you in his office.
Yes.
And I think it's fine. We didn't quote you directly on a previous. But go ahead, just quote directly what the mayor said to you about the flooding, the sewage flooding in your home.
So I went up to City Hall and I did the right thing, sat down with the mayor, and told him what was happening, and that this has been happening since 2019, but this time it was much bigger, and it was much bigger of a situation, and how bad it was.
So we'll stop right there. Yeah. This has been happening since 2019.
2019.
So when the mayor got on Channel 2 and said this is a new situation.
Liar. I will say it. Liar.
Okay.
Everybody, I have proof.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So anyway, go on. What did he say to you?
Yeah, I'll be the blunt one here. I'll be the blunt one that will say everything that, the elephant in the room, okay?
Okay.
So basically what happened, I went in there. I was very respectful of him because I went in there in great confidence that he was going to help me. And even pleading, even if, just look into the issue so it at least never happens again. And I started walking out and everything after he basically gave some, we'll look into it, nonchalant answers. Then we were walking towards the exit, and he was going out there to talk to the clerk out there that sits beside the door. And I was right there, and I was like, look, just please do something to look into this situation. If it's not to, help me with my damages, make sure it doesn't happen again. Mm-hmm. Make sure it doesn't happen again. And he's like, well, unfortunately, that's kind of... Can I use the words?
Go ahead and say it.
Unfortunately, that is a shitty situation, but that is your shitty situation. There it is, quote by quote. Mm-hmm. And looked at me, and of course I turned around and I left. But I will never forget those words that were spoke there in City Hall. That's supposed to be a respectable, place for people to come and do business. Mm-hmm. I've been a professional in management for years and years and years. Never in my lifetime would I give anybody, even if I wasn't even going to look at it, didn't want to have anything to do with it, I would never tell somebody that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially in such a sensitive situation that they're going through.
Yeah, and I want to point out that you've said this at the city council meeting. You said it directly to the city council with the mayor sitting there, and of course he denied saying it. Mm-hmm. But you weren't afraid to come up and let everybody know that. So
after you addressed the city council and confronted the mayor for what you say that he said to you, do you care to share? There was a couple instances that you've experienced of what you feel is retaliation since then. And do you care to share each of those?
Yeah. So after I spoke the first time, and poured it all out, our situation, what has happened as of that far. Basically, it was literally maybe a week later, I was getting knocks on my door from Child and Protective Services.
Mm-hmm. That'd be the Department of Children and Family Services in Illinois, DCFS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They were knocking on my door saying they need to look into a anonymous call-in about my licensing for a daycare, and that there was a risk factor for my children, a safety risk factor for my children. I was not home, but she left a letter
But the safety issue was over the
sewer overflow.
Overflow.
Okay. And so she visited me at least once a week for over a month. And
was this due to the original call, or was this due to multiple
calls?
So
she said multiple calls.
So they had multiple reports, report after report after report, about this identical thing each time. Okay, all right.
And that, like, that to me, I mean, that's uncalled for. Because to me, that was, I feel like somebody there, like, it was just too much of a coincidence.
Right, because
because I spoke about my licensing, and that, I'm no longer doing it because my house is, a health hazard every time it rains.
You didn't have a license in place at the time when they were coming.
No.
And you spoke, do you remember what month you spoke?
I believe it was August.
And this happened in July, the flood.
It happened the first week of August.
Or the first week of August.
Wasn't it?
Your basement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But these things didn't happen. What you're talking about now, and what you're going to continue to talk about, because there are other things, they didn't happen until after you got up and spoke at City Council meeting.
It was directly after.
All right.
We also experienced trash in our yard, beer cans, that kind of stuff it had to be purposely thrown in there because it was over our fence.
A single beer can?
No, lots of them. Like, it looked like somebody had a big old box and just tossed them right over.
Yeah.
And did this happen once or?
Multiple times.
Yeah,
multiple times, and we could not figure it out, like, why, and the funny thing is, it would be right before I would have another knock on my door from CPS.
Oh, wow.
When did those two things stop? From what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it stopped after we and you brought it to the attention of the council. We started talking about retaliation at the council meetings, and we're not we don't know who was doing it. We're not suggesting any specific person. Obviously, it was someone who didn't support the fact that you were getting out and speaking.
Felt some type of way.
But once we started saying, "Hey, there's things happening here. There's retaliation going on," and maybe whoever was doing it or whatever group of people were doing it began to get concerned that they might get caught because you weren't just going to sit and take it. It kind of stopped after that, didn't it?
Because I've been up there, ever since. I'm not going to stand down at this point.
I congratulate you for that. I applaud you for that.
You could have went either way. You could have quieted down, or you could have exposed it even further. And I'm glad you exposed it further.
Yeah, and I think that was the goal, is to get you to quiet down.
Yeah.
They've done the same thing to me. Not exactly the same thing. When I started speaking up early this year, Lawrenceville was under a pretty severe tornado threat. So it's funny how the weather, they're getting so much better at predicting these tornado outbreaks. But right after the election in the spring, the day after the election, actually, we were under a severe threat for tornado. So I suggested to the mayor and the chief of police that maybe we should open up the armory or the basement at the city hall as a makeshift shelter for people who didn't have basements. I know some residents pushed back, said, "Louie, why don't you open up your own basement?" Well, guys, I don't have a basement. It's kind of one of the reasons I was asking for the city hall to be opened up.
I mean, I would. I would if, there wasn't, poop water down there.
Yeah. So, anyway, ended up, couldn't get a response, so I tagged the mayor in a comment on Facebook, because we were friends on Facebook. And he indicated that City Hall would be opened up, and there was a sign placed on the back door of City Hall. He just asked for people to check in, and it would be made available. And I congratulated him publicly for that. Thank you so much. I thought it was a really good thing for the community to open up city resources to protect the lives of city members. But he blocked me on social media, which is I guess it's his right to do, although there's some speculation about that, because if he uses his account for any city business, he's not allowed to block me under a ruling by the Second Circuit as Court of Appeals, the federal court. But anyway, and I guess in retaliation for that, I posted his cell phone number on social media. Anybody have any questions or comments about the mayor? Direct them here. Here's his phone number. Well, his phone number is partially funded. He gets a stipend every month for his phone. So his phone number is a matter of public record. And so sharing it was not subject to doxing laws or anything like that. I didn't do anything illegal. Shared his phone number. And shortly after that, my phone number and my work email were inundated with so calls and emails from car dealerships. I work at a car dealership. Asking for Dave Courtney, which is the name of our mayor. I'm not suggesting that Mr. Courtney was behind this. I don't know enough information to know that he was or was not behind it. But I also started receiving hundreds of emails to my work email. I had never received a bit of spam to my work email, but all once, hundreds of emails, all from government subscriptions. It's called a subscription bomb. The first one came from the Environmental Protection Agency, which is just really interesting. So I spent the time to unsubscribe from all of those. I did report it to the FBI because it was a misuse of federal resources for the purpose of harassing a citizen. I don't know that investigation's ever going to go anywhere, but anyway, I think it's disgusting that when you speak up to hold our elected officials accountable and our city employees, which are public servants, to hold them accountable, that we get retaliated against.
Yeah.
You know.
But when you spoke up as well, that stopped too, didn't it?
Yeah.
When you brought all
it did. Yeah, mine did. So.
Okay.
But you had another instance at a recent city council meeting on December 11th. A city employee.
Yes.
Who just so happens to be a relative of our sitting mayor, approached you after the meeting, and according to what you've told us, I'll just let you tell what happened.
Might be easier if you kind of help me.
Okay, sure.
Because,
Sure.
I mean,
Now, the meeting you're talking about now was the December meeting.
December 11th meeting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
happened
spoke
after?
about it in the January council meeting.
Yes, I did.
So, okay.
So what you're alleging happened was.
And I was nice about it on this one because I'm trying to be, give a little grace and be respectful. But I have thought about it, and I think our community needs to know who is doing things, and it's happening. And I'm ready to let everybody know.
Okay,
So what is your account of what happened in December?
So
You got up, you spoke.
I got up,
Hey,
I
go back and
spoke.
look at December meeting. You were very respectful at that
Yes.
December meeting.
Yep.
You got
I
up and
even
spoke.
gave positives.
You
And-
did. You spoke very positively
You
and
did.
glowingly to both Aaron Tipsword and the mayor. I was honestly a little disgusted. No, I was like, wow, she's being a lot nicer to them than I think they deserve. But that's your right.
But
So
it's not the topic of we don't need to get into the topic of what
No.
was discussed. What we want to get into is what happened to you after you got up and spoke at that meeting.
it was after the conclusion of the
After.
meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, the meeting was over, and I was walking towards the front. I was going to ask the mayor's, about the armory, and I got stopped by this person, and she was getting in that conversation. I will not discuss within that conversation, but at the end, she said, basically, that my kids were no good. And I turned around and I was like, no, if anybody wants to come to my house and hang out with my kids, I have good kids, and everybody is welcome to come hang out with them. And she continued to say, it's not your kids I don't think is good, it's you. You are bad news. Basically saying that, I'm a bad person. I should not be around, I should not be around children. I mean, that's what I got from it. And as I walked away.
And there was, and you're free to say you don't want to discuss this, but according to what you had told us before, she had invoked a certain name to describe you.
Yeah.
What was it, if you care to share? What did she
I'd
call you?
rather not share.
Okay.
I'd rather not discuss that part, but just the accusation of me being a bad person.
Okay. Okay.
Around children is bad enough.
Okay. Fair enough.
But it's fair to say that this was as a result of you speaking,
In December.
being outspoken at city council meetings.
And we did have a resident come forward and state they witnessed
Yes.
this interaction, and that this individual was very mean to you and spoke inappropriately to you.
Yes.
And this person is a city employee. You care
Not
to
the witness.
Not the
Yeah,
witness.
yeah.
The person who accosted you after the meeting is a city employee. Do you care to
The
identify?
city employee is our compliance officer, and also the sister of our mayor.
Yeah. Her name is Liz Bootman. Liz Courtney Bootman.
Which I want to make clear my position on this. Anybody is free to, to say what they want and
Yeah.
within reason, to speak their mind to an individual. My concern is that they are a city employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this was an individual coming up, we'd probably talk about them as well, but the concern from my end wouldn't be as high if they weren't a city employee.
Correct.
And in this case, they happen to be the mayor's sister.
Yeah.
Not only that, a compliance officer that's supposed to, and we entrust to uphold, like compliance things around our community. I mean, she's supposed to be in a position to protect people
She
and
used to be
making sure people are within a ordinance.
her profession prior to this, as I understand it, she was a registered nurse. And as a registered nurse, she would have been what's called a mandatory reporter.
Yeah.
I used to be in a position where I was a mandatory reporter, meaning that if I witnessed anything or I had knowledge of a situation that needs to be reported to the Department of Children and Family Services, I was required to do so. I'm not suggesting that she's the person who made the repeated calls to DCFS over your residence, but she would definitely have knowledge of their procedures, that they are required to initiate an investigation. And again, I don't want to sway anyone away from reporting instances of child abuse,
Never.
child neglect, or situations that are dangerous for children. Absolutely report those things. But using a public resource such as the Department of Children and Family Services as a retaliatory tool is inappropriate. It's criminal as well, and it has no place in a civil society.
Yeah.
But we don't know that she was involved in that part.
We don't know. We don't know.
Outside that, calling calling CPS on a mother of 4 boys that do have to brag a little bit. Great in our community, breaking records for our community.
Track and field.
Track and field,
great.
and has played some real good ball after his injury. I raised some really good boys, and when you come to hinder my boys, Mama Bear's coming out, and that's why I'm not backing down until this situation, this sewage overflow situation, has a corrective action.
Good.
Period.
Well,
and when people, it's instances that we just spoke about with you, with Louie, and there have been others that give people pause to want to come forward and speak in respectful ways about problems in our community or problems they have with the administration. Whenever they hear about things like that, it makes them want to back off and not stand up and speak. And to me, that's horrible. It's sad.
It is sad.
You should be able to get up there and speak your mind and not be in fear of any kind of retaliation, especially to the respectful degree that you have been.
So the next couple that got up and spoke were Bill and Janet Horn. Janet spoke first. She read a prepared statement. I love her. She's just a really, really awesome. Bill as well. What a great couple. They've become really good friends through all of this, and I feel for them. They've experienced a lot of
family. Pretty much.
They're so great, aren't they? But they spoke passionately about the situation with the overflows the lack of what they feel is an appropriate response from the city. They just feel like they've been left out to dry, and they haven't been in their opinion properly represented by the council members other than you, Dwayne, and you're not even over their ward, but they've become good friends of yours as well through all of this. Just good people. I really hope they're made whole. Bill mentioned that first of all, the risk management company, it's not an insurance company, that's taking care of all these claims, told him directly that they're doing the research to try to find some sort of tort immunity or some statute that will prevent having to pay these claims. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're spending all of their time and money on is lawyers and researchers to find a way to not pay these claims. It's ridiculous. But I hope that they're made whole. But he mentioned also that we're coming up on the statute of limitations on these claims, and he feels that that's what they're doing. They're dragging their feet long enough that these residents won't be able to initiate an action in a civil court because the city will then have immunity under the statute of limitations. So I hope that's not the case.
No.
So
I hope not, because that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, and for young, I mean, I can just say, like, the Durants and my family, we're younger. You know, we are actively raising children, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just, you're not hurting us. I mean, I don't care, but you're hurting our children.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're hurting our children.
Yep. Yeah. And the Horns, they're a retired couple. You know, they have resources, which is great. They work very hard to build those resources, but their resources shouldn't be going to augment where the city lacks.
Right.
They shouldn't have to come up out of their pocket because the city has not, in the opinion not only of us, but also experts in the area of city infrastructure, including the EPA, have not adhered to proper maintenance of the sewer lines. So the next person that spoke was actually, he's my cousin, Keith Bellinger. Keith is an interesting guy. He pastors a church locally, and he spoke about the counseling center that is now defunct. It sits just kind of right behind my house. It's on the corner of 15th and Olive, and they just up and left in the middle of the night, as I understand. The corporation is defunct. The building sits there. According to all of his research, nobody owns it because the corporation that did own it has been dissolved. So there is no official ownership of that building. And what's really concerning is not only is the building just rotting away, holes in the roof, but as he understands it, every file for every patient of that counseling center still is within that building. That is a problem because that is
huge.
Serious privacy and HIPAA violation. But who do you go after?
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is we need to find out who the corporate officers were of that corporation. Mm-hmm. Find out if we can get a copy of their articles of incorporation and their filings with the state for their annual meetings and such, annual minutes, and get that information.
From what Keith said, the city's maintaining the yard to the best of their ability. Well, at least to some degree anyway. They're mowing. They're not doing any of the landscaping or cutting down the trees that are growing up around it. But the city, in my opinion, we need to take an active role in trying to, resolve this situation. He and his church are interested in purchasing it, and we need to, he's asking the city take an active role in at least guiding him on what to do, and I think we should do that.
Yeah, I think so. Well, the next guy that spoke was a real loudmouth. It was me. And I spoke about a few things that were just recaps of some information from the last council meeting. The open meetings violation, that to me is clearly an open meetings violation, where Alderman Goins, Alderman Fritsch were both present in the mayor's office whenever city business was being discussed. I know that city business was being reviewed and discussed because Alderman Goins openly admitted it. I have it on camera, where he was reviewing city employee timesheets due to a recent FOIA request from a citizen. I'm not sure, I don't believe it was my FOIA request. I haven't submitted one recently.
Yeah, and I haven't either regarding that, so I don't know what he's talking about there.
But anyway, he was there to discuss city business, and he started to press back and said, "Do you know what time Mr. Fritsch showed up?" And I had to interrupt him because last month the mayor gave me a lot of latitude, and I appreciate it, and I thanked him for it. He gave me a lot of extra time to speak because I asked for it. But this month I was limited to 5 minutes, so I did instruct.
He made sure that was known too.
Yeah, he did. I instructed, I directed to Mr. Goins, I was like, "This is my time, sir," and he allowed me to speak. But I also spoke about the sewer plant situation with the time, the employees. Let me just find. Do you recall what? If you can fill in for a second here, Dwayne. I'm going to find my my remarks.
Well, I do want to say that that's not the first time that Mr. Goins has asked you to report the time that he and Victor. Actually, he keeps asking, "What time did Victor show up?" Well, that's not even the point. The point is that they were there, whether it was for a minute or an hour. If they're there discussing city business, as far as our understanding of the Open Meetings Act, that's a violation. So I don't know where he's going with this question of what time did Victor show up. Doesn't matter what
even
time.
If Victor wasn't a participant in the conversation, he was present for the conversation, and that the Open Meetings Act is very explicit that cannot happen.
But let's make this. Let's go ahead and make this point. We haven't had the opportunity, or we just haven't taken the opportunity to make the point. Someone else called. I don't remember which one they called first. One of us, and said, "Hey, I just called to speak to the mayor, and I was told that he was in a meeting with 2 city council members." Then whoever they called first called the other, you or I, and we both called up City Hall, and we were both told the same thing, that he's in his office with 2 city council members. Which this didn't happen over a minute time period, so I don't understand Mr. Goins' point. And
at least a 20-minute time period that they were all still present, based upon the time of our phone call, the 3 phone calls.
Right. And the person who initiated the call, they weren't calling to check on what they were doing. They were calling to speak to the mayor, and that was the answer they got. And they knew what our position was on, meetings, essentially closed meetings.
Yep.
And so they called us and let us know, and we checked into it, and that's what we found.
So I've got my notes here. The next thing I talked about was the water deposit issue I raised in the last city council meeting. So the ordinance is that renters pay a $50 deposit, but the city water department has been for some time now charging a $200 deposit, contrary to what the ordinance requires. And the mayor acknowledged that in the December meeting and indicated that those people would be made whole at my urging. And as I understand it, and Don Brewer was nodding along whenever I indicated this, that these people have begun receiving credits or checks. We haven't verified this through official means, but that is our understanding, that people have been receiving either checks or credits to their bills. So that's good, and I thank the mayor if that's the case. But it's sad that I had to bring it up and urge the city to just do the right thing and follow your own rules and ordinances. So another thing I talked about was the conduct last month of Alderman Fritsch, and I publicly asked for his resignation. He claimed later in the meeting, whenever you addressed him, that he did not vote against that measure because of the animus toward you, but he
denied it.
I have it on video. You have to turn the audio up a little bit to hear him, but he did admit by saying, "You're damn right," that he voted against the measure because he doesn't like you.
And if he's not going to resign, at least change the way that you evaluate your voting decisions
Yeah.
and maybe let us know that's you're going to do a better job.
Yeah. I spoke about the wastewater treatment plant oversight. That the mayor had admitted in a previous council meeting that the discharge monitoring reports, the data on them, where it originated, since we have a laboratory that was, at least at the time in September 16th, a defunct laboratory. He said, when I asked him, where did the data originate that appeared on those DMRs, he said, it's a mystery. Well, it's a mystery, and it needs to be investigated. But I also, during the December council meeting, it was discussed that sanitary haulers, such as companies that pump out cisterns or waste fields like that, would no longer be allowed.
Or porta potties.
Yeah, porta potties would no longer be allowed to dump that at our wastewater facility, at least until we come into compliance. It was discussed, Mr. Tipsord indicated that it had also been discussed at a December 9th utilities meeting, the committee meeting, and the mayor said, well, that just needs to stop then. And this was on December 11th.
And Mr. Tipsord reported during that meeting that the subcommittee, the utility subcommittee meeting prior to December 9th, at that meeting.
It was on December 9th. Our council meeting was December 11th.
Okay, the subcommittee meeting was December 9th.
On Tuesday.
That at that meeting that they decided that it would be a good idea to stop that process.
Yes. Yeah, and the mayor indicated that would be the case as well.
On December 11th, the mayor said that, right? Okay.
Yeah, so on December 19th, I had a community member send me a video and photographs of a sanitary hauler leaving our plant. And this person contacted me again on December 7th, indicating that this same sanitary hauler had been leaving our plant, been spotted at our plant. So I just called the sanitary hauler and said, and indicated to them, hey, I'm a concerned community member, and I just wanted to find out if you've been dumping there, because as I understand it, the council, the mayor and the utility superintendent had decided that we're going to stop allowing that temporarily until we come to compliance. And so the owner of that company called me back, and I want to stress that I told him directly, I am not, nor do I hold any official capacity with the city of Lawrenceville. I am a very loud voice in the city of Lawrenceville, but I do not hold an official title. So please verify what I'm telling you with the officials at City Hall. But it was indicated at an open meeting on December 11th that this would no longer occur. He told me that not only did he dump on December 19th, as I was told, but he had also called in and told the water department about it, and the city has invoiced him for it. Okay? Mr. Tipsord indicated that no, he was not. He was dumping for the city on December 19th. He was doing work for the city on December 19th. And he didn't know about the December 7th dumping. The mayor indicated on the January 8th meeting that he had just found out about it the day prior, whenever this individual called him to question it, that they had been dumping there. So after the meeting, I approached the mayor. I was like, Mr. Mayor, I have a question. If he was doing work for the city on December 19th, why was he invoiced for dumping at the facility instead of us paying him for the work he conducted for the city?
Right, but we want to make clear that we have not seen the bills.
No, but
you're going off of what the hauler had told you.
Yes, and I am going to FOIA request a copy of the bills and/or invoices and such to validate this. And the mayor, very concerning to me, asked me, he goes, Louie, did you represent yourself as a member of the city council when you called this person? I did not. I am not a member of the city council. I hold no official capacity with the city of Lawrenceville. And I told this individual that, and I trust that this individual did not say otherwise, but the mayor indicated that this individual did say that I claimed to be a member of the city council. And kind of almost in a tone to admonish me for doing so.
Right.
And I said, no, I wouldn't do that. He goes, well, I think that would be very uncharacteristic for you. So I'm glad he admits that it's uncharacteristic that I would do something wrong, because I'm not going to do something wrong. But I assured him, no, I did not do that. I would not do that because it's unethical. So, but that was my remarks to the council. And let me pull back up our agenda for the meeting. We had, after that, department head reports. Chief White had indicated that under the new Safety Act, our department is fully compliant. As a matter of fact, we have officers that are qualified to train other departments on some things, which I think that's great. Speaks well of our department there. He gave a good report for his department. Mr. Tipsel was asked for his report. He said he had nothing else to add. I will add, though, that he did speak at the council earlier in the evening, so I would count that as his department head report.
I would like to backtrack a little bit with the police department and everything. With our city police, we do have a good crew right now, because we had a situation at the teen center for the middle schoolers.
Yes.
They had a dance, and they were fantastic out there, making sure all these kids were safe. They were picked up by their parents over a childish, like back and forth, conversation with some children. Of course, children being children, and things being rose to a level that it shouldn't have been. But as soon as the police were, involved, they were very, very good on being there, quick, organized, and taking care of the situation. So I do want to put in there that
absolutely, and
they were fantastic.
Yeah, we addressed that a lot in a previous episode of the podcast as well. I think they did a wonderful job.
Yes.
They responded quickly. So kudos to our local. It wasn't just our local police; it was county and other community officers that showed up, because there was the threat of a gun at a.
But our city ones were there.
Yeah,
I mean, first, because we were we were there as soon as we heard any notion of it. We were in our car and flying.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
But Grant McDonald was present. He had nothing to add for his departments. It's my opinion, and correct me if you think otherwise, but it's my opinion that department head reports should be a requirement of our department heads. We should require all 4 department heads to attend every city council meeting. Now, I know that means we're going to have to pay them, but the council cannot legislate effectively and lead this city if they don't have the information to do so. We need to require all 4 department heads to attend every city council meeting and to give comprehensive reports of their department. We need to require it.
I don't know if I would have agreed totally with that in the past, but from what I've seen recently, I would tend to agree with that, and I'll give a reason why. Just like on the sewer overhaul or sewer haulers, the mayor said he was not aware of that was going on until just a few days before the meeting. So if I've got a question about it as a council member, or one of you will have a question about it as a community member, maybe the department head needs to be there to be able to answer that question.
Yes.
I don't understand why the mayor wouldn't know. He should have known.
Yep.
He should have made it clear it was to stop. And if he did do that, which he did at the December meeting, then it should have stopped. But apparently it was continuing. They should be available for us to ask questions if we have questions. I don't think that's unreasonable.
And I'll go a step further than that. Not just available for the council members to ask them questions, but they should get up and give some sort of report. What did your department do in this last month? Every department's doing something, some project, some repair, something. Give us an accounting of what your department has done, what's going to be taking place over the next month or coming months. It's things that the council needs to know to make effective, intelligent, informed decisions.
And not only that, is citizens need to, taxpayers need to know where their dollars are going and what they're working on.
100%. Yep. So beyond that, we had
that'd be a good idea.
We had the council and committee reports. So the first to speak was Mr. Volkman, and you had some things that you added to the meeting. You addressed Mr. Fritz directly during this. I thought it was I thought what you had to say was good. Would you care to expound on that?
Well, I just talked about his decision-making process and how he comes to a conclusion how he's going to vote on things, and that I think it's inappropriate the way that he did it last month at least, and I would suspect he's probably voted that way in the past as well. And that, again, I want to make clear, it doesn't bother me what he thinks about me. It doesn't bother me in the least. What bothers me is that he would make decisions based on how he feels about me. That shortchanges people like you, Jennifer, and other people that are in his ward and in his, in Lawrenceville. So he needs to do some self-reflection on that, decide if he's going to represent the town or if he's going to make decisions based on animosity toward me or anyone else. I did address during my comments, I addressed a union labor management meeting that I was invited to, that I declined that invitation because I felt like it wasn't an appropriate meeting. That meeting was announced publicly on at the December
11th meeting.
11th, and the meeting was to take place and did take place on December 17th.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the union labor management contract, I'll read this paragraph, or part of the paragraph. It says agenda items shall be exchanged at least 1 week in advance of the meeting. It is expressly understood that items subject to the grievance procedure, threatened or pending litigation, or negotiations for the purpose of altering any or all of the terms of this agreement, the contract, should not be undertaken at such labor management meetings. So first of all, there's a couple things there. I asked all the council members that did attend the meeting, which were Don Brewer, Russell Goins, and Teresa Green. I believe those three. If I'm misspeaking,
I know Teresa Green was there.
apologies.
I know Russell Goins was supposed to be on. I don't recall if.
I think that's the case. Go back and look at. Hey, that's a good plug for going back and looking at the city council meeting on your tape.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked if the council members who had attended had received an agenda a week in advance. Apparently, they did not.
Well, you asked knowing the answer because math tells you that the meeting was announced on December 11th. It occurred on December 17th. In order to have had the agenda at least 1 week in advance, they must have had the agenda no later than December 10th.
Right.
Teresa Green, of course, I don't believe that this was an intentional thing, but she
may not have known. She may not have known.
She may not have known the rules, but she volunteered to be a part of that meeting on December 11th.
Right.
She could not have been presented a copy of the agenda prior to that because nobody knew she was going to attend the meeting.
Yeah.
Now the meeting had been set up prior to that. I mean, the mayor had talked about to me and whoever else was going to attend, or that he was inviting to the meeting initially, which was me and Russell, I believe, was the only two, and Kelly Lewis, who had resigned.
Mm-hmm.
So it was talked about that far back, but the final list of participants on the city council was not arrived at until December 11th.
Yes. And it's important you mentioned.
So those who said they would attend on December 11th, that they would come to the December 17th meeting, they had not received an agenda prior to December 11th. At least that's what they acknowledged at the meeting.
And it's also important to note that the way closed meetings occur, and there's some Open Meetings Act things here. So the email that was sent discussing this meeting that the mayor sent was sent to 3 council members, you, at the time Kelly Lewis and Russell Goins, as a group email. Mm-hmm. According to the Illinois Open Meetings Act, that was a violation of open meetings because that was an electronic communication that involved not 3 but 4 members of the corporate body. A violation of Open Meetings Act. Furthermore, that closed meeting that occurred, closed meetings are acceptable under certain circumstances. One of those circumstances is it must start as an open meeting and then vote to go into closed meeting, as I understand it.
Right, but they used the concept that this was a labor management meeting, which wouldn't necessarily fall under that.
It's still
under those rules of go ahead.
It's still subject to the Open Meetings Act. There is an exclusion for, my opinion anyway, there is an exclusion to go into closed session, but they have to start in open session before they go into closed session.
I'll be honest, I'm not clear about the labor management.
And I may be wrong, but
I don't know if that pertains. But what were the potential further violations, other than one you just mentioned, could have been is if those council members that received that electronic communication began giving their input back and forth, then that just escalates. The idea that it is, we're having a meeting through electronic means.
Mm-hmm.
I did respond and say that I didn't think at that time the meeting was scheduled. This was back on October 31st, and he was scheduling the meeting for November 5th. And I said, hey, it's not, I don't have an agenda here. And number one. Number two, I haven't gotten it a week in advance. So then he sends this, the mayor sends this agenda that apparently the union provided to him on October 31st. It says, does this suffice? I said, well, first of all, the agenda is very, it's ambiguous, it's not clear. But second of all, it's still not 7 days before November 1st. So they canceled that meeting. That's why they rescheduled it. And that's why he brought it up at the December meeting, knowing that I wasn't going to, God already told him I wasn't going to participate in a closed meeting because I wanted all to be in the open. The items they had on the agenda were very, like I said, ambiguous. The purpose of an agenda is so that I, or whoever's going to attend that meeting, have time to sit down and look at the items on the agenda and come up with either, prepared statements, to come up with, thoughts on what those topics are.
Research, yeah.
To research, and to go in there, somewhat informed. But on the agenda are things like employer comments on time clock. That was on this labor management
So they
agenda.
discussed that prior to all voting against the time clock.
And I wasn't at the meeting, but that's on the agenda. They also have this is one of the agenda items. There's no further explanation prior to or before this. This is it, verbatim. Address current situation and allegations. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah, that's on the agenda. How am I supposed to prepare for that? So I believe that those that attended, they have to speak for themselves, but how could you go to a meeting not knowing what you're going to be discussing and not preparing and not researching, being prepared for that discussion?
Imagine if the city council agenda was able to be as vague as that. It's not. There are certain rules and laws in place, but if you could just say, to address current situation. Well, the city council could literally vote on anything then without proper public notice.
Yeah. Because
current situation, what, where, how?
Yeah.
Well, it's a current situation, we're voting on it.
So I think those that did agree to go, I think they should have reconsidered, and they should have done the same thing that I did, and either at least insist on, a detailed agenda and make sure that agenda did not cover things that what I just read from the contract says you're not supposed to talk about in these meetings. And they should have insisted on getting it at least a week or more in advance. But they didn't, and they'll have to answer for that, not me. I didn't go. I think that I believe that the secret closed meetings should be done very sparingly.
Yep. Just because you can go into a closed session doesn't mean you have to go into closed session for all of these things.
Right.
Just because this can be a closed meeting doesn't require that it must be a closed meeting. And I think sunlight is the best disinfectant. We need to expose so that the public knows what their government is doing.
And I'll wrap this conversation up about the meeting, that union labor management meeting, by saying this. If for any of you who watched the city council meeting where the union representative for this district got up and ranted and raved at me and threatened you saying that you were using FOIA. Essentially, he was accusing you of using it illegally, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what precipitated.
That's me.
Yeah. Yes. Said remarks to you even.
Yeah.
That's what precipitated this meeting. The union wanted to have a private meeting. They didn't want to discuss it in the open anymore.
Nope.
So there you go. That's your government in action.
Threatened me with lawfare because I was using FOIA to uncover things with our city and our government. And first of all, you can't.
So sorry.
You can't use the
your
law.
Rights.
Yeah, I was exercising my rights under the law, and you can't.
Right.
You can't. I mean, you could sue me for that, but that would be a frivolous lawsuit. So,
Foolish.
and to try to even threaten to have me charged criminally for exercising my rights under FOIA, I'm exercising my rights, my legal rights as a citizen of this country. So,
and I want to wrap up my comments on this podcast today just by saying that I commend you, Jennifer, for being willing to stand up. It takes a lot of, takes a lot of nerve for you to be willing to stand up and say what someone is with as much power and authority in this community as the mayor, and in this case is apparently his sister, according to your statements, have said to you, and the way you've been treated by them. And again, I just want to make clear, if this was an average citizen, not a city employee, while still being disgusting and uncalled for, it wouldn't rise to the level that I think it does now, by being that it was a member of city government, actually in both cases, but the mayor has the authority to do some sort of investigation, and I think that there should be some sort of accountability if indeed he was determined that his sister, as a city employee, was, in my opinion, exercising a level of intimidation because you got up and spoke at a city council meeting. So I commend you for that. Commend you, Louie, for all your ongoing research and efforts and everything that you're doing. And if members of the community want to see some positive changes and more accountability and more sunlight shed onto issues, transparency, you got to get involved. You got to come to these meetings. We're getting more and more people coming. You know, come to the meetings, give us a call if you want something looked at. Call your own alderman, let them know what you think about issues.
absolutely.
I understand that you may not agree with a lot of things or some of the things that we have to discuss here and on other forums, but if you don't, come talk to us. It'll be done in a respectful manner. Anybody that
yeah, we've put public invitations in, and I can't believe that the mayor or certain members of the city government don't watch this podcast. I've got to think that they watch what we say.
I have no idea, but they should.
Yeah, they should. But
and come sit down and talk to us and have an honest debate about some of this stuff.
Every member of the city council, standing invitation. We've got a seat right here for you, Mr. Mayor.
Council member
we've got a seat for you.
Any council member that voted not to have time clocks, I challenge you to come sit down in here and have a debate defend that vote and have a debate with us, and be prepared for pushback if you say, well, I just didn't think it needed to be done. No.
One city council member at a time, because Dwayne is a sitting city council member, and unlike the city of Lawrenceville, we will not contribute to a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Right.
So, anything to add, Jen?
Nothing. I mean, only thing I have to say is, before, I mean, I was one of those, community members that, just kept silent about issues, and last year was very enlightening. I mean, and really made me, start to understand what's going on, and I really, really encourage people, anybody and everybody, get involved with your community and get at the city council meetings. See what's going on around you. Make educated decisions for your families, because my eyes have been blown wide open.
Yeah, and
while you've received a pushback in the forms that we've already discussed, you've also received a lot of support, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
So-
I have. I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You know, like keep fighting, and
Yep.
I'm so sorry that stuff happened to you." I'm not trying to be a victim. You know, I just hope that somebody sees what I'm doing and encourages them to fight too.
Right.
And so it's really opened my eyes, and it's made me want to get more involved in our community and fight for what's right.
Yep. Yeah.
And hopefully, I can in the future.
We've experienced the same thing. We were at an event just yesterday, a meet and greet for Darren Bailey and Aaron Del Mar, and have some tentative news there. We're not going to share it publicly, but it could be very exciting for our podcast.
Well, we ran into people up there as far away as north of Robinson
Yeah.
that say that they'd never met us before and came up and talked to us about how they've watched the podcast and encouraged us to
Yeah.
continue what we're
You
doing.
know, actually, I do want to. This is tentative. I do want to share our news. It's not guaranteed yet. It's a matter of scheduling and logistics. But both Darren Blair, not Darren Blair. Gosh, I'm so sorry, Darren Blair. He's a friend here locally.
Bailey.
Darren Bailey and Aaron Del Mar have accepted an invitation to come on this podcast to talk with us. It's just a matter of logistics and trying to get it scheduled. It's very exciting. They are running for Illinois governor and lieutenant governor. And me personally, I hope they get elected. Everybody is, of course, entitled to their opinion on that. But having them, they've viewed the podcast as well. And the fact that they've accepted an invitation pending scheduling is exciting. So we may have to travel to them. It may not be in this really cool room. It may be somewhere else. But I'm really excited about getting them on and to talk about their plans for the state of Illinois and how it will directly affect the citizens of Southeast Illinois here and Lawrenceville specifically. So
I was encouraged to hear about how the two of them became running mates too, and I'd like for I don't want to go through the story now. People that were at the meeting last night saw it. I'd like to have them cover that on our podcast, but it was
absolutely, yeah.
It was very cool to see how
Very cool.
they were going to run against one another.
Yeah.
And they were debating on who. Then they decided to try to come together, debating on who was going to be at the top of the ticket. And I'll just let them share if they come on the podcast, or you'll see it in other places. I'm sure how they arrived at Mr. Bailey being at the top of the ticket and
Going from co-competitors, as they called each other, to team members was really inspiring. And
it was inspiring for sure.
Darren telling the story of and the tragedy that his family experienced with the helicopter crash in Montana with his son, some grandchildren. He had one grandchild that survived the accident, and the harrowing situation with trying to get to Montana that evening and everything. I don't know about you, Dwayne, but I found myself wiping tears from my eyes hearing him tell the story. And that was emotional. So I really look forward to getting
he talked about how his efforts to get there weren't going to get him there in time for him to see his grandson when he woke up the next day, so that he could be there and explain what happened.
Yeah.
But he mentioned someone that was, he said, as far left as he is far right, someone that they did not see eye to eye politically, but this other wealthy person arranged for a jet,
Private jet,
and met him en route to Montana.
And that's encouraging.
The next morning, that was pretty cool.
The humanity in that situation was encouraging. So
they would have had no other reason to have communicated or dealt with one another except for this tragedy. And this other person, he didn't mention his name, but I recall, I don't think he did, reached out to him and said, "Hey, I'll have a jet for you in this location." They were an hour and a half from there, so they dropped off their rental car there and flew the rest of the way.
He arrived 30 minutes before his grandchild woke up, which was amazing. So look forward to having them on a podcast. I really hope we can get the scheduling worked out. And we may have to hit the road one day to travel to meet with them to make it happen. I don't know. They mentioned doing a Zoom, but our little operation here, we have a camera, a light, 2 microphones, and this is all put together on my computer and posted to YouTube later. So the zooming into a podcast, we don't currently have the capabilities for that. Maybe someday in the future.
Do you want to share anyone else that might be coming on? Didn't you have someone else say that they would love to sit down and talk to us?
Who was
Basketball?
That? Oh, yeah, the Blonde Bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Mr. Seidler said that he would love to come on the podcast and talk about some basketball history from Lawrenceville as well.
Have Tim Leasty come back and sit down with us.
Tim Leasty came on and Jay had complimented him on the interview that he gave, and so I commented directly back to him, asking him. I said, "We'd love to have you on the podcast," and he said he'd love to. So I'm going to get that set up. Absolutely, that would be great. Because
again, we're very respectful whenever people come on that don't want to discuss city business. That's fine. That's
absolutely.
If you saw Tim's interview, you saw how we did that. We would do that again.
100%. We have
maybe have Jason Snyder back. I've talked to him. He said he would like to come back.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
Stories to share. So.
Well, I have, and
that's Crawford County Ghost Hunters.
This is a comment to business owners in the community. I have a number of business owners that have either through the grapevine or told me directly that they don't want to come on here because they don't discuss politics publicly because they're business owners. Tim Leasty is a business owner, and we gave him the guarantee, ironclad guarantee, absolutely no politics will be discussed while you're on the podcast. And we will extend that same promise to you. If you want to come on and talk about maybe your family has have a history of business in the community, or you've had a business in the community for a long time and you want to talk about it, you have interesting stories to share about Lawrenceville, I promise you that if politics is the third rail, we will not discuss politics. We'll just talk about community interest as far as your family, your business, your stories. So anyway, with that, with nothing else to add, I'd like to close this and ask everybody to please share this podcast. I know we're getting subscribers. Our following is growing really nicely. But do me a favor. Click the share button. Share this on your Facebook. Share this in local groups. Share this everywhere. Help us build up our following. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell. The local lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. We really appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a bunch. Peace out.